Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate. We're so glad to have you here. I'm Jean McCormick, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Institute. I want to spend a special warm welcome to the members of our 1787 Society. They are generous donors that help us make all of the programs that we offer here at the Institute happen. So we're happy to see you all and hope that you will be able to attend many of our programs. When Senator Kennedy had the vision for this institute, he was clear that it should be of the Senate, but not solely about the Senate. He wanted this crown jewel of this beautiful replica of the Senate chamber where we're sitting tonight to be a room where visitors of all ages could debate and negotiate and build a consensus by having common ground on issues which there will be many diverse opinions. But he never intended this chamber or this building to be only a place for legislation and politics to be discussed. It was not a space just for those who serve in public life. He wanted the Institute to be a living, breathing monument to all the things that can happen in a democracy, a place that celebrates the opportunities a democracy makes happen, and certainly a place where possibilities come to life. It's with this vision in mind that we're hosting tonight's discussion. Our Getting to the Point series brings together people with unique perspectives from every walk of life to discuss the issues and challenges of our country and our communities. It reminds us that we, the people, actually do shape our future. What brings us here tonight is our honored speaker, Pedro Martinez. I think it's well known that Senator Kennedy had a special place in his heart for the Boston Red Sox. In fact, his last public appearance was to throw out the ball at Fenway Park. If you've had a chance to tour the office, Senator Kennedy's office, you're going to see it's a full-scale replica of his office in the Russell Office Building, and he has lots of treasures in there. You can see photos of him with Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King, with President Bill Clinton, and hanging right there next to that picture is him with the 2004 Red Sox championship trophy. Certainly 2004 was a milestone year for the Red Sox and for every member of the team. I remember it well. My dad came to live with me when he was 84. He was born in 1918. So he was longing for that championship to come before he died. And every night in the 2004 season, he had me glued to the chair beside him, rooting for the team because he was convinced this was the year. He died the next year, so he died a happy man. We are delighted to have Pedro Martinez be here with us. 2004 was just one of his accomplishments. The list of things that Pedro achieved over his career is astonishing. In 18 seasons pitching in the major leagues, he was an 8-time All-Star, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner, the 2004 championship member of the Red Sox team, and only the second Dominican player ever to be inducted into the Hall of Fame more than 30 years after Juan Marichal. I'm sure that everyone in this room can name a favorite Pedro Martinez moment. His 17 strikeout game against the Yankees in New York, His 1999 All-Star game start, where he struck out 5 of the game's top hitters. His no-hit, 6-inning relief appearance against the Cleveland Indians. And there was the time that Nomar had to tape him up to a pole in the dugout to keep him from causing a ruckus. His baseball moments certainly are legendary, but I'm particularly proud to welcome Pedro to the Institute tonight because his work beyond his baseball career should be known and celebrated as well. We cannot all pitch the way that he does, but we can emulate the generous heart and spirit of giving back that he lives his life with. Through the Pedro Martinez and Brothers Foundation, run by Pedro and his wife Carolina, he has dedicated this most recent chapter of his life to giving back to his community, both here in Boston as well as in the Dominican Republic. The foundation invests in building new houses and churches and runs programs built to inspire the next generation of leaders in the Dominican Republic. Because of their work every day, children in his homeland are motivated to believe in a future that each one of them can contribute to and a world that they can change. We believe here at the Institute that inspiring this mission in every student, in every citizen and future leader who walks through our doors, people like Pedro can be their role models. I grew up here in Dorchester. It was a Dorchester that was quite different than the community that the Institute is thriving in now. And a generation of leaders dreamed about a new path for the city and have changed its course for the better. I think Pedro is building a stronger community in his home country, and I just saw him do that with a group of young people here. And I'm absolutely thrilled that he's here to share his story. Please join me in welcoming Pedro, as well as our longtime, well-known to all of you WBZ fans, TV News sports anchor Dan Roach, who will moderate this exciting discussion. Welcome to you both.
Where are we sitting? Do you know?
You're left and I'm right.
Okay.
So right will be this side, right?
So, yeah. Which side are we supposed to sit on? It's a good way to start, isn't it? Hi, everybody.
It's okay, as long as we get a chair.
Yes.
I think it's good enough.
Welcome, Pedro.
Well, thank you.
I'll just quickly tell you a little bit about my experience with Pedro Martinez. I was lucky enough to grow up in North Andover. I don't have the Dorchester accent here that you had, which was awesome. But grew up listening to Red Sox baseball, watching Red Sox baseball. Was lucky enough to work for Kurt Gowdy's radio stations, the longtime voice of the Boston Red Sox on radio, and then started working in Boston covering the Red Sox in the early 90s on radio, and then switched to TV in 2000. And then probably the biggest joy of my life, other than my wife and 2 children, was we were able to cover the Red Sox and do Friday Night Baseball, a Red Sox weekly show, post-game show in 2003, 2004, and 2005. So we got to experience the low of lows in 2003, the high of highs in 2004, and then I don't think anybody remembered the 2005 season because it was just one celebration for a year. So it was a lot of fun. Yes. So it's an honor to be here with whom I consider, people say to me, you know, you've been in the Boston market for 30 years or what have you. Who was your favorite athlete to cover? And I always say for the player and for the personality, number 1 and 1A is Pedro Martinez. Right? Simply, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan.
Well, you were great, and it was a privilege and an honor. So enough about me. Let's get to you. And I think let's begin with where you came from, Pedro, to get to where you are, to have the Hall of Fame career. to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame this past summer in Cooperstown. Tell us a little bit about from where you started and what it made you and how it made you the man that you are today.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank God for the opportunity. Thank all of you for having me here. I'm extremely honored. I'm extremely proud to have been chosen, not only by the Institute, but by the students, all of you that, who knows where from you're coming, but I know that if you're coming, you're a Red Sox fan, you're a Pedro fan, or something really motivated you to be here. But I'm extremely honored and humbled to the opportunity, and very happy to share this moment with all of you. Thank you. Welcome aboard, and let's start.
Talk about a little bit growing up as a kid. How much did you love the game? And you just spoke to a group of high school students from Boston. So we could have been calling you Dr. Pedro Martinez.
Well,
Tell us where that came from and kind of your path.
well, it's all about the base. And last night I had the opportunity to share a moment with the kids at the base, another great program that we have going on here in Boston. And I think it all starts with first of all, having God in our side, having a good set of parents that really care, that really battle every single day to raise 6 kids. I'm the 5th. You know that whenever you're in the middle between the smallest one or the bigger one or somewhere in the middle, you're going to be a jumpy one. And I was that one. I became the jumpy one that was never quiet, that always wanted to be climbing something or knocking mangoes or doing something out of the ordinary. And my brother Ramon wasn't a big fan of me moving too much. But my dad loved it. My dad loved the fact that I was the one that would jump on his neck and give him a kiss and then pull his underwear and start running. But he loved it, and it all starts with my parents. I think they did a great job at raising us. We were a very humble family growing up in a shack. I didn't notice that it was a shack. I didn't notice that we had some struggles to actually eat meals properly every day. But I had so much fun that all those things were like superficial. I didn't really care. I was just a kid having fun. And as I was growing up, I learned so much about the struggles that 2 single parents making no more than 400 pesos and probably max 600 pesos to raise 6 kids, buy notebooks, clothing, shoes to go to school, and at the same time support those 6 kids and try to give the kids the proper meals. It was a struggle, but I don't know, we were kids. We didn't know any better. So by playing and just being around and being healthy was good enough. But those were the things that later on as we mature and I started following on my brother's footsteps, made me realize how much I should appreciate every opportunity that I got to become better, to appreciate school and knowledge. I didn't know that the English courses that they were giving my brother, because he was a prospect in the Dodgers organization and he didn't know English really well, would be so helpful. Because he did not have the time. He was too busy, just like my mom, actually helping out with the family and working so hard in baseball to try to make it as quick as possible, to try to take the burden out of my mom and dad, take a little bit of the load off my mom and dad's shoulder. He didn't have the time to learn those English courses. So today I'm able to communicate with you guys because I was the one that took advantage of those. But I'm also thankful and I'm grateful to have had my brother take those courses and drop him at home when he couldn't take advantage of them, and actually learn those to be able to communicate the way I'm doing today. But family, extremely poor. Sometimes, and I don't know if many of you remember this quote at Yankee Stadium, Pedro, well, you just pitched a great game. That was the day that Derek Jeter ran into the stands and slammed his head into the seats. That's how they beat us, that game. I was like, Pedro, so how do you feel now? Now they're expecting me to say, oh no, the Yankees are still my daddy. And nah, that's not gonna happen. I said, I feel so blessed to actually have the opportunity to come to Yankee Stadium, lose a game on two dirty runs, two unearned runs, and a couple of hits. Guess what? They somehow beat us. But I pitched a great game, lost in Yankee Stadium, had an opportunity to do it in the big leagues, in one of the most traditional stadiums, under the eyes of so many of you that I love and respect. The ones in New York, the ones in Philadelphia, the ones in Montreal, the whole world watching, including the Dominican Republic, who could not take a no for an answer when it comes to playing baseball. I was so thankful to actually be able to have the chance to say, I was a big leaguer for a day. I lost an important game in the big leagues. And I want to just say thanks for having the chance to lose that game. And that's how we grew up in every aspect. We grew up appreciating everything we got. And it's all about the base that my mom and dad raised us to understand, to know, to appreciate the little prayer that we did before we went to school every day, before breakfast, blessing, everything that would happen during the day for us. That's probably why I didn't ever fall from the mango tree, because angels were looking out for us, because we used to just play along, on the trees, really high, and just, oh, you're the crazy one. Now try to catch me, and I'll be jumping from one lip to the other, and I never fell. Isn't that amazing?
I would have fallen every time.
Oh, believe me. And I don't doubt it, but I guess I was protected by those prayers and the love and faith that my mom and dad had on us, and we had on them. And that's how actually everything started. That's how we went on to become who we are. My brother Ramon played such a big role. I was always jumping, but when my brother got the long face with those long arms and long fingers, I make sure I stay quiet sometimes, because he'd be like, hey, keep it quiet now, and he'll hold me. But that came out so well, because now I really understand the responsibility. I understand, a lot more than I did when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Oh, it was all about fun and grabbing my sister's doll's head and taking a swing at it.
You hit it?
I did. We did. Anything that was round was good for baseball. My dad's old socks, I was good to make a little ball of it, tape it or tie it. That's a baseball. Let's take a hack at it. Even though my dad might be, who was touching my socks here? That would be us. But it was all fair play for us, and that's how we basically grew up, not having all the facilities. See this? This is a great place to learn. This is really for the young kids out here that now have the chance to learn and study and have these facilities. Take advantage of it. I've never been in a center where I can learn and have people that I kind of admire be in front of me, talking to me like you guys are right now. Take advantage of it and don't let it go. Take as much as you can And like Johnny Bench said to me this year in the Hall of Fame, sit down in the rocking chair, I'll go get you a drink, and look to the lake. Soak in as much as you can from what just happened, your induction, your family, your career. Soak it all in and take as much as you can. And I'll go get you a drink. And it was confusing to me that probably the best catcher that ever played the game, and your father is one role model that we all in Latin America admire, Roberto Clemente, a man that died. Thank you. Thank you for your father, for the legacy he left, because that's someone I've always been interested in. He died doing goodwill. Guess what? What he died for is sitting right here. I want to be somewhat a picture of what Roberto Clemente meant to be. I don't know how big he wanted to be, how good he wanted to be to society, but I wanted to. And going back to Johnny Bench, he made me realize, I don't know, maybe you guys will help me answer this question. And I was the other night in Harvard, and I asked the same question. What was the true message? Was it to stay humble and serve others like I'm doing today with you? Because you're the rookie, and I'm serving you. I'm going to get a drink, and I'm giving you my rocking chair. Is it like Jesus did with his disciples? I'm washing your feet so that none of you can feel like you're above anybody else. Just be humble. I don't know really what the true message was, but I can tell you it was the greatest gift I got in the Hall of Fame. It wasn't the ring. It wasn't being in the Hall of Fame. It wasn't the credentials that got me there. It wasn't the numbers. It was that experience. Appreciate your family. Appreciate the moment. Appreciate what you see, what just happened. It was all so important because if you ask me if I would trade the ring to have Johnny Bench give me that kind of message, I'll give you the ring. I don't know, the one from '04, I don't know if I put it right there, but it has to be. I know, it's not going anywhere, and Johnny Bench wouldn't take it. But I was extremely happy to have that message come to me. And that's the same thing for the new generation. Take advantage of what you see, what you can grasp, the work that's in here, how clean, how good, opportunities that in the Dominican I didn't have. I grew up sometimes without 50 cents to go to the Olympic Stadium and pay the bus, 25 to go, 25 to come back. And if I didn't have them, or I lost them, it would be a long walk. So for you guys that have all these opportunities, please take advantage. See us, see a sign of hope. Don't give up. Continue on. Be the next one sitting here with Dan Roach or someone else, because we're going to get old. You know that.
I already am.
We're getting old. We won't be able to do these things, but just enjoy it. Take advantage. Thank you. Thank you to Edward Kennedy for doing this. And his soul, I'm pretty sure, is having fun right now by seeing these things.
Right. Having Pedro Martinez here is perfect. One of the things I will tell you is, and I've said this to you before, Pedro, is Michael Silverman and Pedro did a great job with the book. There's so many great stories in it that it made my summer, and I enjoyed it. But what I took from the book, Pedro, and what I've taken maybe a little bit that you can kind of share with everyone here is, and I kind of live my life this way too, is you find people along the way in your life that you rely on for advice, help, mentors, even whether it be friends, family, coaches. How important were they to you growing up all the way through your childhood to when you became a minor leaguer, when you came here to the United States to learn how to pitch and to better your craft? How important were all those people that you had along the way that helped you become a Hall of Fame pitcher?
Well, like in life, those were the people that knew what to do when I was growing up. Those were my parents in baseball. Those were the people that really made sure that I stay at check, that I was doing it the right way. So they are as important as everything I have achieved in baseball, I have done in baseball, every strikeout, every curveball, every changeup, every fastball that I threw. They're as responsible for anything I did in baseball as everything so far I have conquered. I think it's just so important to have someone to guide you. From my brother, who I wanted to be like, but I wasn't like. Eliodoro Arias, who took the first steps. Guy Conti, Bear Hooton, Dave Wallace, all those Goose Gregson, all those guys that really helped me become who I am. Were as important as anything I did in baseball. And they are still. They are friends, they are fathers, they are people. Tommy Harper gave me one of the biggest advices I could probably get in life, in general, and baseball. This little string that I have here says, "The organ keeps playing." There was one time
Do you think I could read that? I'm getting old and everything else.
Yeah, I think you could. You're still young enough
I
to.
can't even see your hand.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. See, I told you we're getting old. So that was a time where I struggled, actually being in the big leagues. And being young and not knowing any better, I said, I'm doing so horrible, Harper. I don't think I belong here. I think I'm going to talk to Felipe Alou, who I appreciate a lot for the opportunity. And I'm going to tell Felipe to send me to AAA again or send me home because I'm not good enough to be here. I'm not doing that well.
And that was in Montreal, right?
In Montreal. And I'm already in the big leagues. Now you're making pretty good money. But my pride was so high, I couldn't take a struggle. And then Lee Smith, who actually pitched for the Boston Red Sox here, and Tommy Harper are sitting here. The game is over, we lost, and I'm there bummed out about the game. And Lee Smith, when he heard me say that, he goes, "Oh, young players. They just don't know any better." And Tommy Harper goes, "Petey, you know what a slump is?" I said, "Yeah, when you're not doing good," and that's exactly what I am. Right now I'm in a funk where I cannot find my way after I was doing so well. He goes, "You were doing well, and what were you doing?" I said, "I was pitching really well. And now that you're doing bad, how did you get yourself in trouble?" I said, "I don't know, I lost everything." He goes, "Wasn't it pitching?" I said, "Yeah." Then the same way you had your success, you lose it and you refine it. And guess what? The game is over now, but you know why we're sitting here? Because we love listening to the organ. And even though the game is over, the organ keeps playing. And it struck me to know that even though the game was over, they sit down to listen to the organ, relax, and understand that tomorrow there is another day. And that was a lesson in life and a lesson for my career. Even though you struggle sometimes, you just have to keep going on. Keep going on. And part of my success today is because the organ kept playing and I didn't quit. And thanks to Harper and Mr. Lee, I kept going and I didn't quit. So it's a lesson in life for me, one of the best advices that I can talk about in life and also in baseball. The organ kept playing even though the game was over. Life goes on. I retired, baseball goes on. David retires, Baseball goes on. And it's important that we know that at the end of our careers, regardless of what it is, life goes on. And we have to just continue on.
Interesting from that sense of, yeah, that's pretty cool. You were not of, you had to be convinced a little bit when Dan Duquette traded for you to come here to Boston, right?
Yes.
And through Dan convincing, Juan Marichal, I guess, helped a little bit too. You came to love Boston. One of my favorite all-time Pedro quotes is, "I'm a Bostonian." That's what you said.
I am a Bostonian.
What was it about this city? And even today, as you carried it, you spoke to the high school students a few minutes ago about it. What attracts you to this city? Where does your love for this city come from?
Well, I came here, and for some reason, I don't know what's up with me, but everything I do in Boston seems to be destined. I came here with the assignment to pull off something Johnny Pesky, Dwight Evans, Jim Rice, Carl Jastrzemski, Freddie Lynn, Carlton Fisk. You know, so many great players that you can mention were supposed to pull off. They didn't. And when we had the 100th anniversary, I got the first opportunity to see the cream of baseball in Boston laid out in the field. And unless I separate Millar, Manny, Johnny Damon, all those guys that played with me, Jason Veritek, Derek Lowe, when you stop to look at the bunch of idiots who we were the idiots. But that's the group. When you separate that group from the other, you go, huh? And they didn't win it? Those guys didn't win it? Including Ted Williams? Whoa, this must be special. But I think we were idiots enough to not realize how big of a deal it was to bring a championship to Boston.
More than enough.
Yeah, probably.
We were a bunch of idiots.
We were a bunch of idiots, and we looked like it. But boy, could we play, and we were together. We were a bunch. But to be able to serve as a bridge to actually have that blend that we have now in Boston between Latinos, African Americans, and Peruvians, and Haitians, and everybody together. It's probably the biggest achievement of all. To be able to be that person that unified Boston. David and those beep words during the bombing. How close did that bring Boston with everything? As a matter of fact, we went on to win it. And then Shane Victorino comes over with, "Don't worry about a thing. Everything is gonna be all right." How good was that song coming along with what happened in Boston, which, by the way, we feel really sorry about the crisis in Paris and all that, and France and all that. But, you know, after all that happened, David comes up and says, "This is our beep city. And we are strong, and we'll stand up." And the same thing happened to the team. It's like there's a connection between all the things that we do. And I guess I was the first one to come over and bring merengue, bring the loudness. There was one time I had to be tied to a post because I was so loud. And these guys loved it because they had something to do with the cameras. And I was just that way. And I think all of that came over to Jamaica Plain, to Lawrence, to Roxbury, to Chestnut Hill. Going marrying an eagle. This is an eagle right here. See, so talk about remaining in Boston and the blending. Here I am, hooked in Boston. Yes, and then those words came up. I'm a Bostonian. But I was telling those kids in the other room, said, Boston is so unique. You guys make us so good every day. You make us push ourselves to the limit to become the best we can be. Because you're so smart, you know your game, you're all about the Red Sox, you're demanding, you're passionate. You're the most loyal fan base I've ever seen, because after waiting 86 years without winning a championship and having the stadium full every day, it's unreal. So that's what makes Boston so unique. And I said, you know, the same way Boston loves me and I feel so safe, so secure in Boston, I think until I die, and even after I die, I told the kids over there, if I can actually talk to God about baseball, it's going to be about the Red Sox and the fans and all that. I think I'm going to drive him nuts talking about the Red Sox, even after life, if he knows baseball.
The Yankees fans will all be down below, right?
I don't know if they will make it there. Remember?
They'll be down low, way down.
That's the evil empire.
They'll be hot in the evil empire.
That was the evil empire, but guess what? They're baseball fans, and they all love us, and they all love baseball. So we just have to give them a little, space to breathe. But that's how unique Boston is, and that's how proud I am to have been part of Boston, to call myself a Bostonian. I'm a Bostonian, and the first place I lived was Charles River Park. So that's what's important to me, the fact that Boston was able to adjust to the way we are, the flair we bring, our culture, and accept it and receive it so well. And now I can proudly say that Boston is home sweet home. And it's not only to me, because I'm a spoiled in Boston, but everybody else can feel like they belong in Boston, that Boston is going to treat them well, and that Boston is one of the most unique places that you can play for.
Beautiful. That's awesome.
Yay.
You know, one of the things that struck me when you were in the Hall of Fame, you invited us up to your house before the place you were staying, just the amount of family members that were there from the Dominican Republic, from New York City, and the buses and everything else. How important is that to you and going forward in your life? Because I remember sitting there with you and you were just looking around. You were watching everybody, like just a proud parent almost, just watching everybody run around in the grass and swim in the pool and everything else. How important is that in your life, that aspect of family, and what does it mean to you now where you sit here as you look at what you've accomplished?
Well, it was really important. I never let you know, but 2 days before, it was the anniversary of my dad passing away, and I had pretty much the entire family over there. And I had a speech that I never had planned to actually do during the induction. I drafted some blue points, and I wanted to kind of but I stopped to look, how am I going to distract the whole family so that they don't break down and make a mess out of me during the whole weekend? And I showed up so many times, and I was in and out, and just looking at everybody, looking to see who was going to kind of, bend. And they didn't. They were so excited about just seeing what was happening that, and then when they were about to think about it, I took them to the lake. And just what my mom saw in that lake was good enough to distract everybody. My mom was like, how did you know that this is the kind of places I love to be? so much nature, so many colors, the green, the water, the peace that you feel here. And when my mom said that, everybody was bright up. And I was able to distract my family, but that's why I was looking so careful around the family. But I was so proud to see my entire family coming over and enjoying what they have worked so hard to build. Because it wasn't just my mom and dad, uncles and aunts and sisters and brothers and cousins. They all played a role on my success. And for the Dominican Republic, it was 32 years waiting for the next Hall of Famer. And the one that we had, we didn't even have many TVs to see him pitch. From San Francisco to the Dominican Republic, with 3-4 hours difference. It was, I'm the player that they got to really feel and see. But that also told me that the sense of responsibility that I had, not only with me, my family, the people close to me, but Latin America, the country. A lot of us think it's just having fun and all that, but it's a great amount of responsibility that comes with it. What I'm doing here today, even though I want to go home and I don't want to see a plane anymore for this year, I'm going to have to do it for some other schools. I'm going to have to do it in my foundation where we are in charge of opening doors for new kids to become better every day. What you're doing here is beautiful. We are nowhere near what this is. But for some Dominicans there that never had anything, it's good enough what we're doing. So we're going to continue to humbly build up so that maybe one day we can be something like this for the kids in the future. But we are in charge of the next musicians, the next artists, the next chefs, and all that, and computer engineers. We're trying to develop those kind of opportunities for those kids because not all of them are going to be baseball players. And even I was second guess as a baseball player. And I had to overcome adversity. And even adversity, I can say today, is appreciated by me and most of the players from Dominican that come from the same background, because you have never seen a middle to upper class kid from the Dominican become a baseball player. There are 100% lower class players and lower class families that develop the kind of players because we are the ones that are hungry and really need it. Or else you don't take the beating and you don't try to overcome adversity as bad as we did, because you have to really be hungry to overcome those adversity that we have to go through to make it to the big leagues. As a matter of fact, a good number in the Dominican is about 2 out of 400 make it to the 40-man roster. For those of you familiar with baseball, 40-man roster is not a guarantee that you're going to make it to the big leagues. Actually, the actual roster is 25 men. The other 15 sometimes get a call up in September. If you are good enough in AA, AAA, from A-ball, rarely you see a kid come up. And rarely you see him in the 40-man roster. It's after AA. That's when you really get a chance. And out of the Dominican, 2 out of 400 players right now. It's a good average for an organization to have 2 players in the 40-man roster, not the 25-man roster, the 40-man roster, the one that you don't know. It's a good average when it comes to players, and that's a reality. So making it in baseball is a long shot. So I would love to continue to open doors in so many other different ways than just baseball. It seems like it's really hard. I was blessed to be one of them that made it to the 40, made it to the 25, and made it for 18 years. But I know, honestly, that that's not going to be the same fate in every other player that takes over in baseball. So I much rather open other doors and many more, so that they can find something else to do.
We can open it up now for some questions. Although, Pedro, quick story. In the Dominican Republic, there is the Red Sox Academy.
Yes.
Our television station sent myself and my photographer, Brian Foley, who was 6'5", 350 pounds, who they call him Okahito in Japan for large man. Mm-hmm. And I saved his life in the Dominican because we got stuck in Miami the night before to go cover the Dominican Academy opening for the Red Sox. So we landed, we went to the hotel, and I knew a little bit of broken Spanish, and he knew none. And we got someone at the hotel to try to drive us to the Dominican Academy for the Red Sox. They were opening. Mm-hmm. So we started driving through the streets, and we had a cab driver who didn't understand me, and I didn't understand him. And we're flying. You know how people drive over there. It's worse than here.
After 10 at night, we don't stop on a red light.
Right. So
keep going.
So we're driving, and we got lost. And I didn't know I just handed him a sheet of paper and didn't know how to describe it to him. So then we take a corner, and on the street, they're armed military men.
Yes.
And I was like, uh-oh. And Brian and I looking at each other like, where are we going here? I got a little nervous. Look at me. You know what I mean? I stick out a little bit in the Dominican.
Yeah, you're not the normal Dominican.
Yes. So all of a sudden we pull over, and he starts talking, they start talking everything else. All of a sudden I heard El Dodgers. And the only thing I know in Spanish, I said, no. Medias Rojas. Drive right by, and they're all in line with the Dominican president. Hey, how's it going? And everything else. And to this day, Brian Foley, my photographer, owes me his life because I saved his life over the Dominican Republic.
Oh, so that's great. Medias Rojas will do it.
So there you go.
That means the Red Sox.
Yes. So let's take some questions. We'll start right here in the front. We'll get going. Hold on for the microphone, please.
Pedro, soy de Puerto Rico primero, para que sepa.
Placer.
Igual. Roberto Clemente once said that he was very proud to be Puerto Rican, but more proud to be an American. So I served in the military for a long time, and I didn't understand the words until I joined the Army, started serving, and then tradition and American history took over. And because of that, I ended up retiring for over 30 years. What was that moment in your life, coming to America, coming to la República Dominicana, that make you to be that proud that you said that you're a Bostonian? What was the moment in your life that made that happen?
That's an interesting question, because I'm a U.S. citizen, and I remember Manny running with the little flag. You remember that? You remember Manny going to left field with the American flag? I came over with a visa that as I developed in baseball and I became a established baseball player, I qualified for residence and later on for citizenship. And the moment to actually decide that I should be proud to become American actually should have been the first day I landed in America. Because, and not only in America, I think from the Dominican, first pitch I threw as a professional baseball player, the first time I signed that deal with the Dodgers for $6,500, it should have been the day I should have said, I'm proud of America. Because that's exactly the day that they opened the land of opportunity to someone that lived in a shack and didn't have 50 cents to go to the Olympic Stadium. That's the day that I should have said it, but I didn't know any better. So I came to appreciate what I was getting from America as I was developing in baseball and doing different things for family members and being able to have so much to bring back and make a difference. I think recognizing what America meant to a person like me, and Roberto Clemente, I'm pretty sure, was really happy. Because he knew the adversity he had to go through. He knew where he came from. and I know where I come from. And I'll be ungrateful to say that I don't know or that I've forgotten anything that I lived back then. And realizing what I have now makes me really not just a Bostonian. Abraham Lincoln has a hard time being more American than I am.
Right? You could get him on a change-up low and away. That's why Lincoln is no American. You, no question. With that change-up of yours, you can get him anytime. Next question. Yes, sir.
You had 3,000.
Wow.
Woo!
I think it was number 2,364, right? Remember we were talking about that a little earlier?
Yeah, I know. I think I can't really pinpoint one strikeout that really can probably describe, as that I can probably describe as the most important one or the one I remember the most. But if you ask me, I didn't throw that strikeout. But watching Keith Falk grab that ball and hand it to Minkiewicz, I don't know. That's my favorite pitch. It wasn't really me. It was Keith Falk. Because that was the last moment. And I don't know, it seemed like it took forever for that ball to get from here to there to get to Minkiewicz, because that was the championship ball. And, strikeouts for me, yeah, they were important when I needed them, but they didn't mean anything. The championship was my goal. And it didn't matter who got the last out, as long as I was part of it. And even I pitched the night before. And I think one of the most critical
that night too.
One of the most critical games in order for us to win was Game 3. Yep. Because we won 2 here. But if I lost Game 3 in St. Louis, they'll build momentum to come back. And I wasn't in my best day, but I somehow made it through 7 innings. And then the bullpen took over and won it. And once we cemented that Game 3, it seemed like St. Louis just had no chance. We were too close to let it go. But at the same time, since we were the idiots, we didn't really bother to think about it. We just wanted to get that next win and go be goofballs in the parade. And that's what we did. Individual strikeouts is not anything that you get impressed by. It's great to get them when you're in a tight situation, bases loaded, no out. You just struck out that next guy, and now you're in position for a double play. They're all important. But those are pitches that I remember, that game in Cleveland, striking out Omar Vizquel, was one that's never going to go away. Seeing the flashlights in '99 in that All-Star game, same year that I did the same thing against Cleveland, and knowing that I was part of the best All-Star game that will ever be put together, and watching the all-century players, something we would, including me. I'm a baby. I'm only 21 now. But including me, we won't get to see again. The all-century players all together by Ted Williams and hugging him. It was like magical. And then seeing that last out from Keith Falk to Minkiewicz. It's like, those are 3 memories that don't go away from me. And
you always said for years,
yes,
years, not days or weeks, leading up to that moment, that you would take 1 championship in Boston over 5 in any other place.
Anywhere else. And I would not trade my ring here in Boston. You can give me 5 anywhere else, and I won't. Keep those 5. Forget about the diamonds and how much, it costs. I'm keeping mine in Boston. The only ring I think is going to be as unique and as special as ours will probably be the Chicago Cubs. And I don't know what it is, but we're the 2 oldest teams and all the stadiums, uniquely different than probably any other stadium and fan bases and stuff like that. I was part of the playoffs this year in Chicago, and I can tell you, it's not going to be like Boston, because Boston is just Boston, and it's unique. But it's going to be special.
Another question? Hey, Dick. Dick Flavin, ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen.
there we go.
I have been going to Fenway Park for 70 years. I've seen a lot of good pitchers.
I feel a poem coming
I
on.
saw Bob Feller. I saw Warren Spahn. I saw Nolan Ryan. I saw Roger Clemens. I saw Bob Gibson. Pedro Martinez is the greatest pitcher I have ever seen.
Oh, thank you.
And when he was elected to the Hall of Fame last winter, I was moved to write a little poem about him. You may talk of baseball stars in your living rooms and bars, debating on by whom you're most impressed. But I'll say, for what it's worth, that in all my years on earth, a pitcher we called Pedro was the best. If a hitter dug right in, he'd feel high heat by the chin, then wave at a changeup by the knees, or a curveball on the paint. Pedro threw 'em where they ain't, and batter after batter faced the squeeze. He put K's up on the board, and his victory total soared. It is a fact that Pedro reigned supreme. If a batter gave him sass, he'd knock him on his. As a matter of fact, he wasn't afraid to pitch inside. It was fun as long as he was on your team. He made every game a show with the stuff that he would throw. There is no one any better you can name. Each pitch was a work of art. He is baseball's own Mozart. All hail Pedro Martinez, Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Oh, Dick. That was beautiful. Fantastic.
Yes, no poems, please. What's that? All right. Oh, hold on. All right, we'll go up. We'll go way up high for 1 second, and we'll come back down here.
Hi.
Good evening.
evening.
Pedro, I cannot express so much honor for being here tonight. And I want to speak on behalf of all the Dominicans that are sitting here tonight and watching on TV. We feel so proud of you. I have a quick question, probably a sensitive question. Which park do you prefer to play? El Estadio Quisqueya or el Fenway?
Ooh. I'm going to say, when I'm playing winter ball in the Dominican, it's got to be Estadio Quisqueya. But if I'm playing in the big leagues, it's got to be Fenway Park.
Like a true politician answering that question, right? Where else would you do it but here?
Where I have the advantage of having both sides.
Yes.
See? And I can go and dual citizenship. So it's one and one. I can be Dominican one day,
That's
and
right.
then the next day
It's
American.
your State of the Union tonight. Whatever you got. Next question. Yes, sir.
¿Cómo estás?
Todo bien. I had the opportunity to actually listen to you on a plane ride that we were going from Miami to Santo Domingo, and it's not the first time I hear about how humble you are. So that's great to hear again, the person that you are. But I have a question that is a little bit of a controversy right now. A popular game, a video game, has David Ortiz with a bat swinging,
Yes.
hitting people all over. So a lot of violence in that. So does Pedro Martinez support the use of his image on a video of that nature?
I'm not fully aware what it is. But I know that violence has no space anywhere, not even in video games. I'm not supportive of it. I'm not being critical because I don't know the actual meaning of the game. But, those are things that get us to learn. Maybe after I see the true facts about it and I know exactly what it looks like, I could probably speak better on that matter. But hitting people with the bat is not something that you want to showcase. That's probably not a kid's game. I don't know how rated it is. So I don't know if David's aware of it. Sometimes some people build those things, and we are the last to find out that they made it. We are only subject to the use of some companies. Like if you ask me, did I want to leave Boston? No. But I couldn't do anything about it. It wasn't up to me. Did I ask for the Dodgers to trade me? No. But I was a subject of business and stuff like that. And as you know, as much as we are human and we are ball players and all that, we're also subject to the use of, economics. And maybe, I don't know if David knows that, but if it's like you say, if it is, I'm being clear, media, members, everybody, if it is like you say, that is David's image, hitting people with a bat, no, I'm not happy with that. I wouldn't condone that. But I don't think that's David. If David is going to do anything to people, it's hug them.
Well, let's. I'm sure a lot of people in the room want to know this too. Let's follow that up with, what do you think of the fact that David announced that he's retiring at the end of the 2016 season, and just kind of reflect on his career? And I don't know if you people know this, but you were responsible for David Ortiz coming to Boston. Explain that.
Oh, what I did for David coming over was very little. It was just make a phone call and make sure that we signed a player that I thought was going to be helpful to the team. The first baseman that I thought was going to be a pretty good hitter. The rest was up to David. And he did it on his own. He deserves a lot of credit and all the credit in the world for the world championships that we have in Boston with the Red Sox. And I'm sure in my heart and by numbers, a Hall of Famer. But it's all credit to him. It's not to me. But now, seeing David leave in his own terms, and more than anything, already getting ready to leave on top, and he's talking to me like dead serious, that he wants to put a monster year on this outgoing year. He's already training. Can you believe that? He's already training. And he's doing new regimen of training to actually put up a monster year. And he says, what bothered him in his toes or whatever is now even feeling better. So I imagine that if David is totally healthy and is able to do what we have seen him do so many years, he's going to put a monster year up, and then he's going to say goodbye. And I'm extremely proud and happy to have suggested David to come over to the Red Sox, to go on his own terms. And right now, I got no choice but to say I feel like a proud papa.
If I can add to that, and we'll get up there in a second, but I think you're humble, and we've talked about that. But from what I understand, the story goes is that David was down and out. He had got released by the Minnesota Twins, and really had no place to go, shockingly. And Pedro was down and made a call and to Theo and then Larry Lucchino. They all got involved, and then they brought David here, and that was the greatest part. Except David complained because he wasn't playing,
Yeah.
and he almost left. But Theo said to him, "Give me a couple days to get used." And then Jeremy Giambi They released him, put David at first, and
See,
Here we go.
it's funny how things work for Boston. And I said that there is a very unique connection because that day when David got released, this is how the story goes. I go to a restaurant. I'm going to have a nice dinner, seafood place. And as I walk in, a little late, because normally I wake up late, I go to training, and I was late to eat.
really, you were
Yeah.
late.
I was
You
even
were
late
never
to
late
eat.
in your career for anything.
No, but I was late to eat. Stop it now. But I went over and I found David there. And he's talking on the phone, and I go and give him a hug from behind, and I go, "Hey, compadre, how you doing?" Goes, he's talking on the phone, and then I see this teddy bear that's used to smiling from here like a crocodile, you know, from ear to ear. He's moping, and I'm like, "Hey, come over. Here. Hey, dinner's on me. Come here." And the man wouldn't move. The man is actually in tears. And I said, "Hey, what happened?" He goes, "Can you believe that? When I thought I did so well for Minnesota, they just released me, man." I'm like, "Great." You know, David. "What do you mean great?" I said, "Great." He goes, "How can that be great if I just had a daughter born 2 weeks ago, Alexandra, and I just got released. I don't have 1 cent saved in the bank. I had just purchased a new house that I was expecting to pay next year with the money, you know, put the down payments and all that. How am I released now? What am I going to do?" I said, "No, it's great because you come with me to the Red Sox." So I started calling, and I finally reached Jack at about 2:30 a.m. And Theo's in California. Thanks to God, it was the winter meetings, and they were being held in California, and with the hours difference, Jack was able to make contact, and
Jack
we
McCormick,
sat-
the traveling
Jack
secretary.
McCormick. Jack
Called
McCormick,
Theo.
a great man.
Yes?
I love Jack. "Hey, Pedro, how are you?" I love Jack, the traveling
Yeah.
secretary. Yeah. And Jack made the connection and told him Pedro suggested that we sign David Ortiz, who was just released. And the rest is history. You all saw it, and you all know it.
Isn't that awesome? That's a great story. And Pedro was good to us. He was great to me, but he would get he would have fun with the writers and people. There was a gentleman by the name of Dave Hirschkel who worked for the Hartford Courant, and he could ask some terrible questions and stuff at time, and I used to look at him and say, "What are you doing?" We were in Yankee Stadium one day, and Pedro, he asked Pedro, Pedro was about to pitch the next day or the day after. It was for the American League East. It was in Yankee Stadium. And Pedro looked at him and said, "What? It's okay. If we don't win the AL East, we'll win the wild card, right?" And then he looks at David and goes, "Just like you predicted."
Oh, yeah. Because at Boston, it was so hype about where we were going to end up. The Yankees were always the favorite. Okay, we don't win the AL East. What could happen is we win the wild card. And that's exactly what you predicted. So what are you asking me about? You asking us to pull up a miracle after you predicted that we were going to be the wild card winners?
Oh, but you made it more fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. Yes, young lady?
Thank you.
Ever for the Red Sox. And but I have a question for you about the fans in Boston.
Yes.
Now, we know we're the best ones because nobody can touch us, right? Now, you went through a lot of hassles with us for a long time because we're very fickle, and if we don't like somebody for 5 minutes, then you're out. But if you're good for 1 game, you're good. You're back in. Can you tell us a little bit about that from when you first came to Boston and on all the things that have happened since you started, and the pressure that you went under, and then when we finally won the World Series, and how that all felt for you.
Yeah, what was it like? Because they were hard on you. You know, the media, the fans could be hard. You had, if you look it up, it's one of my favorite things to do. And yes, I have no life, Pedro. I'm a baseball guy. If you go and look at baseballreference.com and just type in Pedro Martinez and look at the 1999 and 2000 seasons, your jaw will hit the computer at the numbers that this guy put up in those 2 seasons in supposedly the steroid era. Go look at those tonight. You all have an assignment. When you leave here, it's brought to you by the Senate chamber. We'll say
Yes.
the senators, right? Go look at the numbers that this guy put up in 99 and 2000. So you still had criticism, though. How hard was it to take, and was it different in Boston than it was in other places that you pitched?
It's unique, like Boston is. It was unique. But I could totally relate to what they were. They were just like I was as a competitor. Resilient. I refused to lose. And even when I lose, I'll just want the challenge again. And that's the same way Boston fans are. I remember getting booed in Boston badly one time. I have gotten sick here in Boston in my first year. And I was like probably 3-0 with a 0.69 ERA, something like that.
You gave up a run?
I gave up 4 runs. But all 4 were, I was told to spend at least 6 weeks because I was dropping in weight quickly and I was really weak. I was told that I needed to miss at least 4 to 6 weeks to regain my strength. I said, no, I need to honor my contract. I'm here to pitch. And as long as my arm doesn't hurt, it doesn't matter if I drop in velocity, I'm going to go on and pitch. This is the first time I'm ever saying this. I don't know if you remember, in '98, I caught a bacteria eating on the road. And I was extremely sick, and I was dropping weight. I couldn't eat. All I could take was pretty much protein shakes. And I was dropping in weight, and the inner league came over. I gave up 4 hits in 6 innings in a game I wasn't supposed to pitch. I was to be shut down, but I refused to. And I went out to pitch. Gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned runs in 6 innings. 4 home runs. The 4 hits were 4 home runs. The only time in my career that I think I allowed those 4 home runs in the game. And when I got back to the dugout in the 6th inning, a gentleman with curly hair, white curly hair, sits right on top of our dugout all the time. Even now. I don't know his name really well.
Shaughnessy?
No.
Oh.
If it was Shaughnessy, it would have been okay. It wouldn't bother me. But it was a gentleman that came over and reminded me, is this the kind of beep that we paid to see? And is this the kind of beep that we paid $75 million to come and see? I looked at him, you know how I used to get. I would pitch with no emotions, no emotions. I just looked at him. Heard it clear, loud and clear. That's what makes Fenway Park unique. You can actually interact with the player. Hey, Pedro, what's up? My name is Linda. You want my number? Would you marry me, Pedro? And you can hear that, literally, that close. And I heard that from that man, and I was being booed so bad. And as soon as I stopped, that man stood up right on top of the dugout and went like this. Is this, and that? And that was the only time I remember being booed. But I was asked by the media how I felt. I said, you know what? I respect them. Because not only they pay my salary, and they're entitled to demand that I do well. They are passionate. They are demanding. They are the reason we have to push ourselves to be good. And if I didn't do my job, I deserve it. Now, at the end of the year, the same way I deserve the boost today, I hope that I get an apology. I hope that I get an apology from the fans. And one thing, I will never tip my hat again when I have a good game. And I refuse to do it, good or bad games. Refuse to do it out of mutual respect for the way Boston fans were passionate. Whenever I had a good game, it would be the same look. Whenever I had a bad game, it was the same look. Whenever things were right, same look. Now, after we won, or I went away from Boston and I came back, the way you received me, I received you. That's when I finally took my hat off again. When I wasn't in Boston and I knew how much love you were displaying for me. So that was the only time I got booed. But that's the main reason, because you're knowledgeable of your game, makes you unique, you're loyal, you're there regardless of how many times we broke your heart. You were there every day, full stadium. Is this going to be the year? Is this the year? And I heard it so many times. Pedro, is this going to be the year? And I just kept quiet, because saying too much and not doing it will be a low point for Boston. So I waited to win to then say, this was the year. and that's what the fans are all about here in Boston. They're unique because they're passionate, they know their game, they know what they expect from the players. How many times have we seen it? Manny, pop up in the infield. Oh, they got it. Those are big league players. They got it. I'm not going to run. I'm just going to turn to the dugout. Whoops! He dropped it. But guess what, Manny? Plenty of time to throw you out. What do you think Manny is going to get? Boo! Regardless of how good the player is. You people, you fans in Boston know your game. We have to respect you for that. But you're also loyal. Don't matter that we broke your heart and we didn't do what we're supposed to do. You love us that way. You keep in touch of, and keep track of everything we do, regardless. And that's why Boston is Boston. And I'm proud to say, regardless of your demanding, I'm extremely proud to take on that challenge every day.
Did the
any day.
curly-haired guy apologize?
No. But I can tell you that even though he didn't apologize, I can tell exactly how they feel and how they felt afterwards. And the reason that I'm sitting here today is because of how they feel.
Guy probably got run over by a bus. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? All right, last question. Let's make it a good one. Okay. Yes, last one over there. Thank you.
Thank you. So you've been talking about baseball all night, and I'm wondering, with the season over and February fast approaching, what is your Super Bowl prediction?
Patriots! Patriots all the way.
Now, Pedro.
We got Tom Brady.
Well, let's talk about last time we sat down about your book. Tell me what you think of Tom Brady. You compared him to a mango.
Well, Tom Brady is the best I've ever seen. Well, I mean, all due respect to the Dan Marinos and Peyton Mannings and all those guys. But Brady is the kind of guy I would have loved to see pitching. My God, what a host. What an arm. He's a sharp shooter. He's the only guy, pitching is leaving off 2 inches. This way. It's keeping the barrel of the bat. It's like the game of inches. 2 inches, this much. And in football, this much is really difficult to do, especially with 300 pounds monster coming at you. And to get that ball in little spaces like this, if he was a pitcher, I don't know that football would have been important to him. Because nobody will hit Tom Brady. He's that good. I think Tom Brady is just the best sharpshooter that you can find anywhere when it comes to throwing the football. And my God, it's special. I would have loved to have at least 2 years with him where he was pitching. Yeah, just to learn from him.
And with him, he was the mango. You said the juiciest mango in
The
that tree,
juiciest
right?
mango, and that's the one that they throw rocks at. They cast the rocks to try to knock that juicy mango and ripe. That's the one that everybody wants. That's why they criticize him so much. See how good of a season we're having? I'm saying we because I'm a Bostonian and I'm a Patriot fan. So we're having a good season, but then if we don't win the Super Bowl, it's like, look at Brady, he fumbled. That's a 300-pound monster, full speed at you. Anybody can fumble the ball. But you know what? I feel so good about this team. I think they're going to win it. They're going to win it. It's just that unique combination between Brady and the coach and the players and the fans. You guys make them good. That's why it's going to be. I think we're going to win it.
All right. Like to hear that? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but how nice was that to sit here with Pedro Martinez and have a great time? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah! Well, thank you so much for having us.
You'll come anytime.
Well, thank you.
And anything we can do to help
Thank you.
in the Dominican, we will do.
I appreciate it.
Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
I love you all. Yeah! Thank you. Great job, by the way. Hey! Thank you.